Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Thank you for all the people commenting on wherever you're commenting. I get some on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, or some people actually send the old-fashioned way, James at WBAP.com. But here it is in 2024. Look, that was new technology in like 1996. Like, oh my God, you got an email? That's amazing. You're on top of it. Now it feels like when someone sends me an email, what are we doing? Are we banging rocks together? Is that what we're going to do? Do I have to like paint an antelope on the wall of our cave? Is that what's up? Is that what we're doing now? 800-288-9227. I don't mind getting them. I'm just being a butthead. But let's go check up on some of our friends. Some of our friends aren't handling this too well. We played you Rosie O'Donnell earlier. I think the other one that we're going to giggle at here is Rachel Maddow. Now, Rachel Maddow, Biden dropping out. The definition of a hack is whenever something happens, it means everything's great for your party and the other party is Nazis, or it's terrible for the other party. You have the inability to admit your own flaws. That's what makes you a hack. And you can identify a hack when there's an argument between like Team Red and Team Blue, and they're always choosing the same team, no matter what the issue is, no matter what the day is, no matter who the people are. They are just 100% committed. They don't need to know any facts. They don't need to know any details or historic precedent or fact checking. They're just hacks. And so Rachel Maddow, she's not dumb. Like, I think Joy Reid is dumb. I think Kamala Harris is below average intelligence. Rachel Maddow's fascinating to me because I know she's not. But listen to how she is trying to rationalize in her own head the cognitive dissonance about the surroundings of Joe Biden dropping out of the race. They broke into special coverage yesterday, just like we did here on WBAP. Hey, some of these people that are listening right now, we were hanging out last night talking about this from 9 to midnight. But this was from Rachel Maddow's special coverage on MSNBC. Someone needs to check on her because listen.
President Joe Biden making American history with an act of profound political and personal sacrifice.
Oh, my God. What did he sacrifice? He's been the most selfish person in presidential history over the last 4 years. He was too daffy to be president in 2020. It was amazingly egotistical and self-centered that he lasted this long. And your takeaway from it is what a glorious sacrifice this guy has made. No, this guy knows he's slipping. He knows he can't remember stuff. He knows he's been embarrassing himself, and they've been making parody songs about him, and he's been the object of ridicule. He knows he's not the same, and he was doing it anyway. And why was he doing it? Because that's what's good for the country? Come on, Rachel. Come on, Rachel. He waited till after the primaries so all the voters in the Democrat primary would get screwed. That's the glorious, heroic, selfless description he gets. Interesting. She continues.
3.5 years into his presidency, President Joe Biden stepping down from his reelection bid in favor of his vice president, Kamala Harris. I've been processing this for 5 hours already, and it still gives me chills to say it. In the instant he announced it at 1:46 p.m.
Hang on a second. I don't know how long you've been listening to the James Show, but from here on out, listen for the next 20 years. Nothing gives me chills when it comes to like political decisions. You are a hyper emotional nerd if that gives you chills. Like when Chris Matthews had heard the Obama speech at the Democrat National Convention, he's like, I feel a thrill going up my leg. If you ever feel a thrill going up your leg for a politician's speech, you need to step back and reevaluate where you're at. For one thing, just please replace that with an inherent skepticism of all politicians of all stripes on all teams. But secondly, just your excitement, you're getting a chill. Stop. I don't believe her.
This afternoon, everything changed. Everything changed.
No, it didn't.
The Democratic Party instantly ends its internal war, this emotional, intense, harrowing fight that has torn the party apart for the past 3.5 weeks. That is over.
Lie. Really? Who's their candidate? I mean, we think it's Kamala, but if there was unity in the party, the second he stepped down, they would name their replacement, so we wouldn't have to go through this little chaotic moment. They are ticking people off right now. They are turning voters away. They are leaving the big money donors in the lurch about, should we give money? I don't know. Who's it going to be? We don't know. You wouldn't interrupt the donors. You wouldn't interrupt the fundraisers. You wouldn't interrupt the events and not have a candidate floating if there was party unity. No, they're in an internecine battle right now. Just the opposite of what Rachel Maddow sees. Oh, we're all unified now. Really? You don't even have a candidate. That's hilarious. The guy that that won all 50 state primaries and caucuses, y'all just threw out. You had unity, or you had closer to unity than this. All right, we continue with Rachel Maddow.
Instant. The expectation among Democrats, which was being voiced more and more openly in recent days, the expectation that the Democratic Party was in for a historic wipeout in November, with not just the White House in danger, but the House and the Senate in danger as well. That expectation evaporates also in an instant.
She can't know that. She hasn't seen a poll on if the polls changed. That's wiped out. The last poll we saw had all these other challengers doing worse than Trump. This may have put them further away from winning in November. She's just coming out and telling you whatever happens. Well, I guess this means the Democrats are awesome and the Republicans are stupid. We got it. But we heard the shakiness in your voice. You're not overjoyed. This isn't a selfless act that you find heroic. You're shaking in your boots. We get it. You were just telling us 2 weeks ago about right-wing death squads. You're going to be taking you all out for sport just for fun. Now you're saying, oh, isn't it a great, shiny, sunny day? Oh, yeah, Mom, this broccoli casserole sure is good. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Jordan Davis comes to the Pavilion at Music Factory August 9th. Special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Ashley Cook. Get tickets now at livenation.com or text Jordan to our same phone number, 800-288-9227. You want to win tickets? A chance to win tickets to see Jordan Davis, Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory August 9th. Text Jordan to 800-288-9227. Historian and attorney Talmadge Boston coming up next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Welcome back to the big show. Well, we're just stumbling through history together, aren't we? You've never seen so many things that have happened in this presidential election cycle, and now you can add another one to the list. This is the first time we had a former president running for a non-consecutive term in our lifetime. This is the first time neither primary process mattered. This is the first time they had a presidential debate before the conventions. You can name about 6 or 7 other things, but now we're talking about... I can't believe that this knocked the bullet, the assassination attempt off the headlines, but this is the next big step in the weirdest presidential election of your lifetime. Talmadge Boston is back on The James Show. Welcome back, sir. First things first, and a possible question: who is going to replace him?
Who's going to replace Joe Biden? The answer is Kamala Harris. Everything is falling into line for her, from the party leaders of all 50 states to the big donors are falling in place. The low-dollar donors are filling up the online donations, and in a little over 24 hours, she's raised over $100 million. So all the spigots that had turned off are now turned on full blast. No one has come out to say that they're going to challenge her to be the successor nominee. So she's got it, and I don't foresee that that's going to change. I think it's all going to be buttoned up well before the Democratic convention to make it a very smoothly run convention like the Republicans was last week, with everybody singing her praises the same way the Republicans sang Trump's praises.
Is there any way that they could look at the polls that are coming, because they're running polls right now as fast as they can. They're trying to get this info back. Is there any way that someone, if they show up significantly better than Kamala in the polls, they could try and shoehorn them in the spot instead?
I can't imagine that happening. I don't think anybody at this stage is going to poll higher. You know, she is a vice president. She is a woman. She's a person of color. She's young, 59 compared to Biden's 81.5, compared to Trump's 78.5. She's got obviously strong African-American and minority support. That's always been a critical part of the Democratic base. So I don't think she's going to lose her momentum at all.
What about the efforts, Talmadge, to make the case that if Joe Biden is not fit to run, then he's not fit to continue the last 6 months of his presidency? You think the Republicans are going to get anywhere with that?
No. Biden, whenever he speaks later this week, when he gets over COVID, is going to say something about why he chose to back out, but he's not going to acknowledge a lack of mental acuity. He'll just come up with some statement that doesn't make any sense or doesn't have any meaning. But basically, he stepped down because all the insiders said, you're going to lose badly. All the donations are gone, and your legacy is going to be ruined forever. Your chances of getting strong financial support for your presidential library are going to be gone. And finally, somebody even as stubborn as Joe Biden had to accept all that reality, and that's what will caused him to drop out yesterday. And who knows what he'll say, but that was the reason. He's never going to acknowledge that he didn't have the smarts to serve for 4 more years, even though everybody else knew that. So for Harris and all of them to act like he acted so selflessly and heroically and all, it's nonsense. I mean, he should have stepped down years ago. I mean, he hasn't had the moral acuity for a long time. And after that disastrous debate, which he refused to even watch to see how horrible he was, he still kept hanging in there. And the Democrats lost 3 weeks of time. They could have been moving toward Harris and getting all this played out that much better. So he wasted everybody's 3 weeks before he recognized the obvious. He's going to have a very mixed legacy. I mean, Democrats will keep spinning and treating him like he's some kind of a hero. I heard Kamala Harris say he's about one of the greatest presidents in history, which is total nonsense. She's obviously ignoring Afghanistan, ignoring runaway inflation, lower real wages, ignoring the border disaster, ignoring that the world is a much more dangerous place than it was before. So they can spin this stuff all they want to make like he's the great hero in support of now helping Kamala Harris's campaign. But at least most people will be able to see this for what it is. It's just a ridiculous spin that apparently some people, they think at least some people are willing to believe.
Yeah, I guess you must have heard the segment before where Rachel Maddow was saying this is the most selfless act. This is just for the good of the country. No one's buying that.
It's absurd. I mean, you know,
it's like the opposite of the truth, right?
Yeah, this is what you call insulting people's intelligence, as if people don't know why he stepped down. When Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer are all working aggressively 24 hours a day to get all of their supporters to line up behind getting him off the ticket, to act like this was a selfless, heroic decision is total nonsense.
Oh, yes. So noble, Talmadge Boston. Isn't that so fitting? All right. Tell them how they can find you outside of the James Show on WBAP, Mr. Boston.
Well, book, How the Best Did It, Leadership Lessons from Our Top Presidents, came out in April. You can find it on Amazon or in Terabang Books here in Dallas. You can find my website, talmadgeboston.com, where my Dallas Morning News op-ed pieces, most of which are about presidential politics and presidential history, can be found. And I'm a lawyer in town with the Shackelford firm. You can find me on the Internet very easily. And doing so much of this fun commentary, James, with you and others at WBAP, and I'm pretty easy to find.
All right, Talmadge Boston, you're a great addition to the show. I appreciate your time, sir.
You bet.
Talmadge Boston. Go find him online. Look, I think he's going to be on the list of books I got to read. I love that presidential historian stuff. When we get back, I'm going to talk to you next. I got a couple guys lined up. Jake, John, I see you. If you want to get in line, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I want to talk to you about what the heck is going on now that Joe Biden's out of the race. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Biden drops out. Who will replace him? If you're saying Kamala, like a lot of people, my next question is, well, who would be the VP? Paul sends me a message via Facebook. I guess he's listening on the stream over there, or watching the video stream. He says, it seems like they use Joe's Ukraine negotiating tactic against him. If you drop out, you aren't getting your $100 million. You know, it probably is something close to that. And it's a beautiful irony that there's that backstory that you just mentioned there, the old quote from Ukraine. Well, SOB, you're not getting your $1 billion. You're right. It is something like that. But also, we're going to get the chance to see, Paul, that when Biden is gone and they send him down to the basement forever and ever to be seen again, what is anyone's incentive to buy his influence again? And that will trickle down in the real world is, I wonder what's going to happen to Hunter Biden's bazillion-dollar a year income that he's been raking in for the last decade or so. Is that going to continue? Because if it does, that means he's legitimately an expert in the Ukrainian natural gas industry and the Chinese whatever he's pretending to do for them. But if his millions of dollars flowing from overseas interest dries up, well, then it will confirm your suspicions that, yes, that was just bribes. That was nothing but bribes. It was a money laundering. He's the money laundering bag man for his bribe taking dad. CH sends me a Facebook message that says, I heard Obama's people and Pelosi/Schumer people told Jill that they'd release his medical records, including mental health, if they didn't pull out this weekend. Oh, and Hillary will kneecap Kamala. Really? I didn't hear about the Hillary kneecapping Kamala stuff. I did hear that Pelosi and Schumer said that they threatened to go public with something. I heard it was like poll results. I don't know where you got medical records from, but interesting. Either you're going to get out or we're going to ruin you. Either you're going to get out or we're going to make sure you lose to their own candidate. After all their voters, put them back in. I mean, that is low, unethical, immoral, but sounds quite possible, if not probable. Brandon says he expects Michelle Obama/Jeffries ticket. And he says Biden is set to speak to America Thursday from the Oval Office. Yeah, and that'll shut up the rumor coming out of Las Vegas that he's already dead or he's so bad off medically that that's why he hadn't been seen. He probably just, I don't know, doesn't feel good. And he might actually have COVID. Don't discount that just because they lie to you about every other thing. Every once in a while, they're going to tell the truth. And what are they supposed to do? Yeah. That's another rumor. I'm not going to do that one on this show. And then I've heard from two people today. There was one guy in a email to james@wbap.com. And then Tammy also sent me in, please tell me you're having in Blonde Kamala later today. Blonde Kamala will probably be on later this week. We just had her on Friday, and we have some great guests, but I don't like to repeat people on shows. Have her on Friday and Mondays, but don't worry. We're going to squeeze as much Blonde Kamala as we can out before now in the election, because this may be the end of Blonde Kamala on the James Show too. Let's go to the phones now. John in Weatherford has been waiting patiently. Hey, John, you're on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Well, I have two things. First of all, I'm not on X, but I can't see how I take his resignation very seriously, considering just about anybody could have gotten on there and submitted that for him. And then if it is real, when is Kamala actually going to go through with the debate in September with the president or with Trump?
She's supposed to. Trump is already kind of stirring that pot because he said, well, now that we're rearranging the debate or the candidates and they're changing the rules midway through, I would like to do a debate on Fox. Can we do one of the debates on a platform that isn't anti-Trump? And that's a paraphrase. That's not exactly what he said, but the debate, the debate talk has already come up. So I expect it to happen. I expect Kamala to still be behind and really want to do the debate, and she will be able to goad Trump into a debate because the media is on her side and going to pressure him. So I expect a debate. I certainly do. And that's going to be fantastic to watch, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
All right. We'll keep it here, man. We're going to cover it. I'll record the whole thing and I'll play all the funny sound bites on the next day on the show. That's what we're here for. I appreciate you calling in, John.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Jake. Jake in Arlington, you're next up on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think about Biden dropping out?
Well, howdy. I have a ton to say. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but that whole letter seems very suspicious. No presidential seal. I don't know what that's about. It just seems very suspicious.
Can I go ahead and address that first one? So yeah, that was something that was pointed out yesterday in some of the coverage I was watching because I was researching, having to do the coverage last night myself. And yeah, it's from his personal letterhead. That letterhead has been used before. And since this isn't an official act of the president, this is more personal. He's not addressing anything he's doing in an official capacity. This is having to do with his personal political party. So I can see why that doesn't raise any suspicions for me that it wasn't on the presidential letterhead. It was instead on his personal letterhead.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I couldn't find anything myself. And even so, there's a lot saying that doesn't sound like his verbiage and not something how he would say it. I think it kind of leads me on to, with Kamala, something else I was reading last night, and I just couldn't shake this, is people are only supporting her, for diversity. Not one person can mention one positive thing that she is doing. All I read was she's a person of color, she's Asian, she's black, and we're going to make history. Okay, history's great, but I want someone in office who's going to be able to do more than just hold a title, a race card or anything like that. Being out here in Texas, I know I've dealt with ICE. I work with them, and they have many things to say and how this administration has handled this immigration all wrong, totally wrong. They're putting up at nice hotels. They're putting them on their own flights, private flights. They're giving them first-class treatment, and this is Harris's thing. The border is her chaos, and she's created this.
Well, I was really hoping to talk to a Democrat today because I really want to know from not the Democrats on TV and not the politicians who are basically paid to lie to you, but just
of course.
When I get out of the show, sometimes I really do just call my Democrat friends and ask them how they feel about this. And the question is, did you really just make things better? And I think the answer is yes. And I think they think the answer is yes. But I want to hear how solid they say it. Because Rachel Maddow isn't fooling anybody. She's not excited to be in the position that they're in right now. This is not where she hoped to be on July 22nd of an election year. But, that's why I want to talk to real Democrats. People that call into the show are so valuable if they're calling in from the left side of the aisle, because I feel like we don't get the spin there. For some reason,
absolutely,
it's like being on the internet. You feel like you have this shield of anonymity around you when you're on public radio to say things that you wouldn't say to people's face. So there's an internet quality like that, but that makes it authentic. That makes it valuable. And, people lie to people who take surveys all the time. That's why I'm surprised to hear so many people, especially my guests, say, yeah, Kamala's the presumed nominee and they'll probably make it somewhat official soon. Don't they have to wait? Don't they have to wait like 4 or 5 days for polling to come out? Should we really expect anything before like a Thursday or a Friday of this week? Because they're going to check to make sure who the strongest candidate is and run with that and act like this was their plan all along. And they don't know that. If they did, I think that they would have announced it at the same time or concurrently with Joe Biden stepping down as the candidate. But that's just what I think. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a representative of the Red Cross of North Texas. A lot of our Texas neighbors to the southeast of us have been dealing with the damage from Hurricane Beryl. And we're going to get an update on how we can help out some of our neighbors next. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Vince in Dallas, you're next up on The James Show on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Hey, I was just listening on the tail end before your guest came on, and I heard one of the guys going there and say, Kamala Harris he kind of paraphrased it like she was a DEI or, something like that. And it just hit me. Why is it always, when it comes to a black person in a certain position, everybody always think, oh, that's DEI? Because I heard one of the Texas...
Well, I have an answer for that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first off, it's a misconception. It's not every time. It's not every time a black person is in a position of power is considered DEI. It is considered DEI when a black person is put in a position of power and the person making that decision has already decided beforehand that they're going to choose someone based on their traits. And so when Joe Biden says, I don't know who my vice president is going to be, but I know I'm going to pick a black female, then Vince, that means he's not going to pick the person with the most merit. He's going to pick the person with the most merit who also fits these qualifications. Now, that's exactly what...
Okay. I can go... If we're going to go by that,
okay,
then what about Amy Coney Barrett? Remember, Trump said he was going to pick a woman when it was time for her to come up.
I don't remember him saying that, but if he did, it deserves the same criticism.
Of course it does.
Okay, but look, I'm pretty sure he didn't say that. But that being said, if he did, I'd criticize it right along with you.
I remember him saying that because I remember one of the guys that I worked with at the time was somebody, on your side. You said you want to hear somebody
Sure.
on the Democratic side. So he was on your side, and at the time, DEI wasn't a big deal then. It was, a couple of years ago, but he did say he disagreed with Trump picking somebody just because she was a woman. I remember him saying that. But, I digress. I'm not a big Kamala Harris fan. Let me just say that. But I will always, I would vote for cricket before I vote for Trump. Oh, anybody that's running against Trump, I'll vote for them. But I wish it was somebody else.
Who do you wish it was, Vince?
If I was going to go with anybody that I could pick, of course I would pick Bernie Sanders first. But I know he's not going to run. So I would probably say Gavin Newsom, because I think Gavin Newsom actually goes, I think he's kind of slick. He got a lot of slick parts about him that I really don't like. But then, too, I think he goes after the Democrats. I'm sorry, he goes after the Republicans.
Well, Vince, check this out. I think I found the clip you're looking for. This was Trump, September 21st in 2020.
First of all, we're working very hard on getting a third Supreme Court justice. And I'm going to announce who that is. The only thing I'll say for the women, it will be a woman.
There you go. So this is, look, from my interpretation of that, this is a couple days before he announces, and he already knows who it's going to be, so he's just throwing out a hint that it's a woman. Not that he picked her based on being a woman, but if he did, I condemn that. That's a DEI hire, too. You'll get consistency from me on that one. You still with me, Vince? Oh, no, he dropped off. All right. That's all right. I need to take a break anyway. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome. It's The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Thank you very much for hanging out with us as we walk through history together. That's the fun part is, this is history that it's going to be written in a history book that your kid or probably your grandkid might read in their social studies class in a few years, but you're getting to see it right now in real time, in full color, in stereo. Or if you're on the AM side, I guess it's in mono. But I don't know. I know I don't have an important job, but this is as close as it gets. And it's not that I'm bagging on myself. It's just if the world was going to be flooded and you were making a Noah's Ark and you put all the worthwhile professions on there, radio talk show hosts would not make it on the ark. They wouldn't even let me. I'd be right there next to the art teachers and the calligraphers, and the baristas would be on before me. 800-288-9227. Behind me, though, would be like politicians and college professors and these other people that think they're important. I can at least admit my limited importance. To the phones we go. BJ in Clifton, you're on WBAP. What do you think's going on?
Well, hey, I was just listening to your guy talking about Gavin Newsom, and I would like to ask him a question. Was he even aware that Newsom supported a bill in his state that would allow children to change the gender of their pronoun? Let's say they are a girl and they want to be known as a he, then they can so do that in public school in California without telling parents.
Okay.
So my question to the guy is...
Already know the answer. BJ, let me ask you another hypothetical. If Gavin Newsom was running for president against literally Hitler, who would you vote for?
Oh, my gosh.
You'd vote for Gavin Newsom, and that's okay. But you got to remember, this is how they see it. They have been convinced. They're not kidding around. We think they're kidding around when they're like, well, this is just what the Nazis would do. Well, some of them are kidding around, but there's a lot of people out there who believe this. There's a lot of people out there who really think Trump is an evil, racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe.
I swear. It just blows my mind that people can be so absolutely uninformed, not intelligent. They do not seek good information from a good source. They just believe what we're being told via, I call it the ABCs, the stations that are so liberal, it's ridiculous.
Right, and that's the interesting part is I can almost understand how dumb people are duped, but smart people who've been duped. Like I was saying earlier, Rachel Maddow's not stupid. She was a Rhodes Scholar, which means she went to Harvard not as some sort of quota fill, but based on merits. She's not dumb. I know. One of my friends is a college professor. She's a rabid liberal. She's not dumb. She knows how to open up your DNA strand with a protease enzyme, change out some of the amino acids, and zip it back up. She's not a stupid person. The best man at my wedding he's a lawyer. He's a Puerto Rican socialist. He's not dumb. They've just signed on to the wrong political philosophy. And if you're wondering, like, well, how can they think that? How can they just want government to grow and keep providing all these benefits to the public sector until it inflates our currency and bankrupts us? Well, that's what every single empire in history has done. All their smart people, dumb people, academics, it doesn't seem to be dependent on your intelligence, because I also know some really dumb people that are like, capitalism is better than socialism while they're eating boogers, So it doesn't seem like intelligence, being dumb or smart is part of the equation. You just need to be signed on to the right philosophy.
Exactly. It's just not part of the equation. But I challenge that man that called in. If he's got grandkids, he needs to take a look at what Newsom supports. And by golly, if I don't know who's going to end up in there, I still think there's going to be a Clinton, possibly coming in, or the big word Obama with the first word that starts with an M. I don't even want to say those two.
She who shall not be named.
Yes.
That's taking it a little far. I heard another just horrible description of the dynasty thing we have going on right now. This is the first, now that he stepped down, this will be the first election since like 1976 where we don't have a Bush, Clinton, or Biden on the ticket.
Golly. Well, I know. But, hey, can I say one more thing?
If you say it in 30 seconds.
I can say it in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Please, Trump, listen to us. We loved what you did in the debate. You rolled it back. We like that you are presidential, that you are refusing to use that lingo that brings you down to a junior high type language. Enlarge your vocabulary. You be the bigger man. You make us believe in you. You can change America, but America is looking for honesty and quality and truth and generosity, and not somebody seeking out to slice somebody else's throat for revenge. I want Trump to shine, and he did in the debate, but don't start coming in with that yucky language. I voted for him the last time. I'm voting for him this time, but I want him to be presidential. I know he's what America needs.
All right, BJ, you got the last word. That's all the time we got. Thank you very much. You just finished out the James Show. BJ and Clifton gave the final farewell speech. Thank you very much for hanging out today. Coming up next, Mark Levin. If you need some more James in your life, the podcast lives on WBAP.com or the WBAP app, or you can also look for it if you type in James Parker, The James Show, or you're already listening to podcasts on other apps. Maybe it'll pop up there. You can try that. But definitely find me on social media. Like, follow, subscribe, share my posts, all that good stuff. Help me get the word out. I got 4 kids and I want them to go to college. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.